Hello everybody and welcome back to the My Generation podcast. Hope you're all doing well and keeping safe. Today I'm just doing a very quick little review of season 1 of Blood Machines, Seth Ickerman movie. It's such a fascinating piece of media. I've been thoroughly interested in this film series project for quite some time. It's now available on Shudder, which I've only recently just got into. It's an interesting streaming service offering horror movies particularly, and it's got the project on there. Blood Machines is it's so hard to describe what this is. I'm really excited to talk about it. It's a sci-fi synthwave kind of movie, very strong Blade Runner vibes to it. It's set in a very sort of dystopian style universe with a very interesting plot. I'm not going to go into any spoilers within this. Very much recommend you go and check it out over on Shudder. It's actually this project started off originally as a Kickstarter, which is thoroughly interesting to see something get so much support and get to this point where it is a full-on production that is now available to watch, and it feels like so much greater than its budget, that so much was done with so little to make this film such an incredible spectacle. The thing you probably take away the most from this, and if you've seen the trailer for Blood Machines you'll know this, is just the color palette and set design is just incredible. And when I was looking at some of the shots in the trailers, there's a lot of close-ups, and I'm thinking, are they going to sort of cut corners with the set design and make it look like it's all, set in one room, but they really don't, and the camera really does widen out for some shots, and you can see them moving around these really expansive, epic spaces that feel so full and have a weight to them, because just as it came across from the trailer, it looks like they use miniatures in there as well, and models, and obviously in the trailer it's sort of hit with that really beautiful Carpenter Brut score. The soundtrack is incredible, but I thought, hopefully the sound design is going to accompany that and make everything feel weighty, and this film really does. Everything feels so grounded, and even though you're seeing this really unbelievable spectacle, the imagery really does hold up, and it really does feel like you're in a space that you can comprehend. You understand where everything is as you're watching, despite how crazy all of the visual imagery is. You'll notice it from the trailer. It's a really thin aspect ratio, but the corners are slightly rounded, and there's sort of a bit of fuzz to the top and the bottom of it, which sort of suits the film's vibe, and that sort of feeling of it really sticks throughout. It's like they've taken sort of Blade Runner color palette schemes and ramped it up by 1,000, and I love that in it. It's really daring from that perspective. It's a real risk, but it's the thing I feel like I'm going to remember the most moving forward. There's also some imagery which is very 2001: A Space Odyssey vibed. There are a couple of moments in there that really strike me. There's one in the trailer, and if you've seen the trailer you know which one that is. But again, I feel like it's just an inspiration, because the film does quite a lot that is just its own, and it holds its own, which I think is great. It doesn't feel like, even though I feel inspirations from those movies, it doesn't feel like it's copying in any way. It doesn't feel like it's ripping off. It's got its own story to tell, and the story is interesting to me for sure. There are parts of the plot which I personally feel like occasionally it's not that they didn't make sense, it's that you were taking in quite a lot of information, so there's a lot of stuff you'll kind of just presume going into each new set piece as you're going throughout the movie. But despite that, I still feel like the plot really holds up. It was engaging me. I never wanted to look away. I always wanted to know what was coming next. I was fascinated by those visual imageries, and that really kept me going through the project, because it's very mysterious, and because the plot kind of holds back at the start, it really allows you to sort of explore the mystery of this world, even though it's sort of holding back information as you go. It throws you straight into the deep end. It opens with a bit of text, and then boom, you're straight into the action of the piece. There's no time wasted. Every moment feels justified. It doesn't feel sluggish or slow at any points. There are also a couple of really great uses of that music from Carpenter Brut, which is how I actually discovered this film. A lot of people discovered it from, the Kickstarter project, but I just am a massive fan of Carpenter Brut, and I saw this come out, this album, and I listened to the album in full before realizing that it was even for a film. I didn't. The first time I listened to the album, I genuinely didn't know. I just put it on because I was like, latest Carpenter Brut stuff, gotta listen to it. And then the more research I did into it, I mean, it very quickly became apparent what it was for. And there's some absolutely beautiful moments that almost feel music video-esque, with movement relating to the music. It feels like there's a sort of a dance and a synergy going on between the music and the visuals and the performances. The performances actually are also really, really good. Because this is obviously a lower budget movie, there's no sort of star power, but the performances all really carry strong, sense of energy. There's points in the movie where I'm just sort of going off of facial expressions and I'm understanding what everyone's feeling and thinking, and there's a lot of interesting characters within the piece, and really quick, sharp moments where things change about those characters, and it is quite a quick story. So there's a lot happening very quickly. There's a lot of information for you and some of the characters to take in. It takes shifts in different directions, the story, that I simply wasn't expecting. But overall, I can understand that because it's a very allegorical and metaphorical piece. And so for a lot of that, a lot of my favourite movies sort of fall under those lines of more metaphorical. Darren Aronofsky, one of my favourite directors, is a lot like that, where his film Mother was very much a complete metaphor throughout, and my favourite film of all time, The Fountain, is also a little bit more realistic in places, but sprinkles of metaphorical imagery. And there's actually a couple of bits of imagery that sort of share between the two movies, The Fountain and Blood Machines. It's a thoroughly interesting piece of media. I would really recommend you watch it because it leaves you thinking about a lot when you finish watching it. It makes you contemplate what you've just seen. I'm going to go back and rewatch it very shortly after recording this because I feel like I need to take this in more and understand the what's actually happening in this story, because as I said, you're experiencing it quite quickly, and even though it's sort of about 45 to 50 minutes, it really flies by, and it's split up into 3 parts, so it feels even quicker. And so I do need to rewatch it to fully comprehend sort of the last part and what it all means. And there's a lot to take away from it in terms of humanity's relationship with machines, and not even just sentient machines, just machines in general, and technology and physical parts, and our relationship as humans. And there's a lot of stuff in there about gender and exploring that in a very unique way, I think. Overall, just a film that's left me with a lot of questions to ponder in the best way. I didn't leave the viewing experience feeling like I was left short. I definitely felt like I got a full experience out of it, even though I left with lots of questions. Kind of how I finished watching The Fountain, where that film left me with many questions to take away into life. But two very different experiences. That this one's got Blood Machines is very much a Blade Runner-esque feel to it. There's a lot of also incredible camera work that is really daring. There's some of the movement in there. There's some great stuff with wide angle lenses, some great Dutch angles and movement around characters that are just a joy to watch. And when it's dancing with the music, that cinematography just gets taken to another level, and that color palette makes you feel like you're almost in a dream watching this project. Thoroughly would recommend Blood Machines. I've done a few film reviews on the podcast before, and I thoroughly recommend all the films that I've done reviews of. This is one of the more avant-garde ones, but I aim to do many more film reviews in the future, including that of The Fountain, an episode I've already recorded, but it's coming down the pipeline. It'll be with you soon, don't worry. And if you're new to the My Generation podcast, please do subscribe wherever you're listening: YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Because coming up this Thursday on the show, we've got the 1-year anniversary special. We've been doing episodes here on the show. If you're a regular listener, you'll know that we've been doing these episodes for so long now. It's been incredible. It feels like just yesterday that we did episode 1, and we're coming up on 1 year. So this coming Thursday on the My Generation podcast, I will be bringing back loads of guests that we've had on previous episodes of the show to celebrate the past year of podcast content, go over some of the subjects, talk a little bit about movies as well. We recently just recorded it because It's a big episode as well, so I don't do episodes as short as this one, but that one's going to be about an hour and 20 minutes of podcast content and music reviews, features and more. So excited to share that stuff with you. So let me know what you think of Blood Machines if you've seen it. It's available on Shudder. You can watch that movie and let me know what you think of it, because I'm really excited to share opinions and get thoughts. I know there's like a review section on Shudder below the movie where others have left their thoughts, and I'm very excited to hear what you think. So do let me know. I look forward to checking in with you on Thursday for the next episode of the My Generation podcast.